You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, COVID drives insurance rates up for some states, but not yet in Missouri.
Our biggest issue on this Thursday morning, we'll take a look at the latest visibility numbers from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, some Missourians respond to the execution of a death row inmate. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. COVID-19 vaccination status is affecting some people's health insurance rates, but not in Missouri yet. Delta Airlines recently made headlines when it announced it was raising insurance premiums on its unvaccinated employees by $200 a month. Missouri's COVID-19 dashboard says a little over 48% of the state's population is fully vaccinated, which means a lot of Missourians will be paying more if their employer goes the same route as Delta. But the president of Joplin's Insurance Center says that's not currently the case in the Show Me state.
Providers that we represent that I'm aware of that even ask the question if you're vaccinated or not. That's for group health insurance, life insurance, group life insurance, and certainly any workers' compensation. It's been a non-issue so far.
In our next half hour, we'll hear from the Insurance Center president on whether he thinks insurance providers will start asking about vaccination status in the near future. Pitt State University officials report 0 new COVID-19 cases in the past week. 27 symptomatic students were recently tested. None of them were found positive. In the same period, no faculty or staff members reported an infection. Last week, there was only 1 new positive case. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Many people will be looking for ways they can help fund charities who are trying to end the terrible disease. But the Better Business Bureau is warning people to be careful about which charities they choose to donate to. The Bureau suggests always researching a charity before donating or buying pink ribbon products. You can find out more information about potentially fraudulent organizations on the BBB website. You can also use that site to report scams. Some area students on Wednesday got a valuable lesson on fire safety. The Stella, Missouri Fire Department visited Triway Elementary. Firefighters taught the students about fire prevention and what to do if they are involved in a fire.
So this week is Fire Prevention Week, and the Stella Fire Department has come down to talk to our pre-K through 4th graders about fire safety and what to do in case of an emergency, and just to kind of get them acquainted with what a fireman looks like so they won't be scared if they were ever to be in an emergency situation.
The fire prevention lesson was provided to pre-K through 4th graders. Missouri Southern is hosting its Southern Summit. The Southern Summit is a chance for professors and other educators to develop tools to recruit and retain students. It's also an opportunity for staff members to connect.
It's usually individuals on campus, experts, in their own fields. So we have a lot of talent at Missouri Southern. We just don't get to necessarily share all of that with each other because we're kind of working in our departments or in our own groups. So this is a great opportunity for people to be able to mingle and to learn from each other and just to engage in that camaraderie that we have here going at Missouri Southern.
This year's keynote speaker was Dr. Daryl Davis, Assistant Superintendent of Equity, Inclusion, and Innovation for Kansas City Public Schools. A defining masterpiece by renowned Renaissance artist Sandro Botticelli is expected to raise millions when it hits the auction block next year. Art aficionados predict The Man of Sorrows, that's what you're looking at there, will bring in more than $40 million. It's believed students or followers of Botticelli created the half-length panel painting of the resurrected Christ around the year 1500. The piece appeared in auction in 1963 and sold for around $13,000 then. Sotheby's will auction the painting in New York in January of 2022.
It's going to go on a world tour before that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking
spark up
about
some interest.
See
in
what?
The price. It'll spark up some interest in the price.
Yeah, guy bought it for $13,000. I don't ever think he had it displayed. I think he had it in his own little personal gallery. $13,000, now he's going to sell it for that.
And I bet it does. I bet it makes that.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
I was thinking about the world tour. How would you like to have to be the security detail in charge? No, thank you. Do not. I've watched too many movies.
Too many heist films.
Right. I have. Especially if I start to see Sean Connery show up and he has a certain person with him and there's laser beams and she starts to, trapeze artist through them.
What about Pierce Bronson?
He wasn't in that movie.
No, but he's in some art.
That's not, no.
Didn't he investigate art thieves in one movie or something?
Are you thinking about the one he was in with Rene Russo?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have watched too many art heist movies.
Seen a few.
Clearly. I see laser beams and people jumping through them, and I get nervous. Dense fog advisories lasting until 10 a.m. Look at our visibility numbers as they've gotten worse, even as we approach sunrise, especially for the western part of southeast Kansas, down almost to a mile in Independence, less than a mile in both Yates Center and Iola. We've seen Lamar and Carthage dip as low as 2 miles, now kind of holding steady around 5 miles. Excuse me. There's a live look outside of Television City. Give you an idea. And it's been thicker for the past 3 days. We just didn't have any advisories pop up with it. A Skywatch storm tracker that once we get some sunshine, it'll make quick work of that fog. It won't be like yesterday where it will linger because it had to fight through the cloud cover. Temperatures ranging anywhere from, say, 53 to 63. Cooler out to the west, a little bit warmer when you get up to the east and to the north, with all the action staying really to the east of the Mississippi and then to the far north of us. A weather trend today, whole lot of sunshine, lift us up into the 80s. Going to be absolutely delightful this afternoon. And then get ready for the 90s because that's what's headed our way this weekend. And not only that, we're talking about coming within a couple degrees of a record high on Saturday. We'd have to get up to 93, but if we do, we break that high set back in 1980.
All right. Well, up next, one artist pays tribute to breast cancer patients. And later, debt relief is on the way for thousands of students. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Experts and patients want to get the message out to young women. Your lack of family history, good health, even your young age does not make you immune to breast cancer. Dr. Max Gomez has the story of a former Rockette who's being treated for the disease and raising awareness.
Erin Monteleone is just 37, has a healthy lifestyle, and is definitely fit. In fact, she's been a Rockette for 7 years and performed with the Metropolitan Opera for 6 years. That's her on the left. But a few months ago, she felt a lump in her left breast.
They discovered actual cancer on the right side. So the left side was a benign cyst, and they found cancer in the right breast and right lymph node.
Erin's oncologist at Mount Sinai, Dr. Paula Klein, says that women Erin's age are not generally screened for breast cancer, even with a family history like Erin, because her mother didn't develop breast cancer till age 63. But young women do have special considerations if they need fertility-damaging chemotherapy.
There's a massive effort in the beginning to have them consult with fertility and to make some sort of arrangement for fertility preservation, whether it's egg freezing, embryo freezing.
Erin is getting chemo every 3 weeks before a double mastectomy and reconstruction. But for about 10 days or so, Erin feels well enough to take and teach dance classes because dance has been her life and passion since age 3, and it's what gives her the strength to persist.
What will I do after this? Where will I go? What stage will I perform on? So that's what's gotten me through all of the treatment.
Erin wants women to remember that even young women can develop breast cancer. Dr. Max Gomez, CBS News, New York.
Experts are concerned about what they are calling a tsunami of breast cancer cases in women who postpone their screening because of the pandemic. They're reminding patients that hospitals and screening centers are safe and to schedule their checkups. That's a look at today's top health story. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. But first, Idaho state troopers can add great horned owl to their list of saves. Concerned drivers alerted police that the bird was caught in plastic next to the interstate. Sergeant Crapo kept the owl safe from traffic until animal experts arrived. The bird is doing okay and was released from the freeway.
She's holding it with her bare hands.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool shot right there.
That's my bird
I have a
right
new
there.
owl friend outside on the back porch.
Oh.
Yep, pre-sunrise. He keeps me company by hooting and letting me know where he is. Every now and then, folks, we show that shot of this tower camera from outside of the mothership, and we point it toward the satellite arrays. And it's not uncommon for the owls to actually nest up there. Now, we make sure we do not disturb Mama Owl when she nests up there. She does not want anybody around, that is for sure. Kind of a Hound of the Baskervilles view outside of Television City with the fog that we have. And remember, dense fog advisory is lasting until 10. We have seen layers of it peel off. Earlier this morning, it ran all the way to the Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri-Iowa state line. So, slowly but surely, we're seeing the National Weather Service let those expire. So we kind of show the idea that it stretches through us and then all through Arkansas, east of the Mississippi, and down to portions of the southeast. So there's fog just about everywhere. As an idea of our visibility numbers, we've yet to see any rebound. Miami back down to nil. Welch at half a mile. Carthage and Lamar holding steady at 5 miles. Chanute down to 1.4. Our Skywatch storm tracker is clear, so we should begin a burn off here in, say, the next 20, 30 minutes. Temperatures anywhere from 53 to 63 right now, kind of widespread. West is cooler, east is warmer. When it's all said and done, this afternoon is going to be great, highs around 80. Then we get abnormal October warmth. We're going to be pressing up against 90 degrees for 3 consecutive days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, until some evening thunderstorms on Sunday bring us much more October-like temperatures throughout the middle of next week. Be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
A Missouri man convicted of robbing a gas station and murdering 3 clerks nearly 3 decades ago was put to death this week by lethal injection. Missouri executed death row inmate Ernest Johnson Tuesday night after the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a petition seeking to delay it. Emily Rittman spoke to community members who were against Johnson's execution until the end.
I'm here to stand for life and for stopping executions.
Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty say they are saddened by the U.S. Supreme Court's decision, but not shocked.
Why wouldn't you cry when you've got a guy who's probably got the intellect of a 6th grader is going to have something stuck in his arm and his life drained out of him?
That's a life, and his life matters too. And the next person that is on death row, their life matters too.
Mabel Scruggs, Fred Jones, and Mary Bractor.
Advocates read the names of the 3 victims Johnson was convicted of killing in 1994 at a Casey's General Store in Columbia, including manager Mary Bractor and employees Mabel Scruggs and Fred Jones.
I just pray for them.
They prayed for their families and Johnson.
I'd like to say a big prayer.
A relative of one of the victims said they are the real victims in this case. They posted on social media that their relative died a violent death and was beaten so badly that they were missing part of their frontal lobe. Governor Mike Parson said in a statement Monday, quote, Mr. Johnson's claim that he is not competent to be executed has been reviewed and rejected by a jury and the courts 6 different times, including a unanimous decision by the Missouri Supreme Court, end quote.
This is very personal to me, and it breaks my heart. In no way does it wipe away the crime, but what it does is it says, can they coexist? Can you commit a crime, and can we responsibly take care of you as a human till the end of your life, and make sure that you don't commit another crime, but make sure that you're behind bars.
The Missouri Department of Corrections released an image of Johnson's final statement. It said in part, quote, I am sorry and have remorse for what I do. I want to say that I love my family and friends. I love the Lord with all my heart and soul. If I am executed, I know where I'm going, to heaven, because I ask him to forgive me, end quote.
Again, that was Emily Rittman reporting. Johnson was offered a sedative but declined. He was administered a lethal injection at 2 minutes after 6 p.m. Tuesday night and was pronounced dead 9 minutes later. We'll be right back with today's 4-State Hero. It's time to honor today's 4-State Hero, Inlo Kilman, a specialist 4th class. Kilman is from Carthage, Missouri. He served our U.S. military from 1966 to 1968, and later again from 1970 to 1988. We are proud to thank Specialist Enlo Kilman, our four-state hero. Relief is on the way for more than 500,000 student loan borrowers. The Education Department has just announced a major change to embattled federal program. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan has a closer look at the impact the overhaul will have.
A major student debt forgiveness overhaul potentially benefiting more than 500,000 people.
Today is a good day for hundreds of thousands of people. They are going to get a fresh financial start.
The Education Department announcing changes to its public service loan forgiveness program. Under new actions, 550,000 borrowers working in government and nonprofit sectors, like first responders, nurses, and teachers, are eligible to have their student debt wiped out after they've made monthly payments for 10 years.
These are the teachers who teach our kids in the classroom. These are the people who take care of our sick relatives.
After calling for changes for years, advocates like the Student Borrower Protection Center are welcoming the announcement, saying the overhaul was long overdue.
This program has been broken. More than 9 out of every 10 borrowers have been rejected, and this has been going on for years.
The program, created by Congress in 2007, has been criticized for being difficult to navigate and riddled with problems, including confusion about eligibility requirements. According to the Education Department, just over 16,000 borrowers have ever received forgiveness under the program before this overhaul.
When there is a 90+% denial rate for a program, it's not borrowers who are making mistakes. It's not individual folks who are doing something wrong. It was a system that had failed them.
Among the requirements, borrowers must have worked for the government or certain nonprofit organizations for 10 years and must make 120 on-time monthly payments for 10 years to have the remaining balance canceled. They must have loans made directly by the federal government. Finally, they must be enrolled in specific repayment plans. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The new Texas abortion law already sees legal challenges, and one state sees a rise in gas prices. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Four States Most Watched News starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:27. Let's take a look at today's top stories. COVID-19 vaccination status is affecting some people's health insurance rates, but not in Missouri just yet. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to a Joplin insurance specialist to find out if the pandemic is affecting premiums.
Delta Airlines recently made national news when it announced it was raising insurance premiums on its unvaccinated employees to the tune of $200 a month. According to Missouri's COVID-19 dashboard, a little over 48% of the Show Me State's population is fully vaccinated, which means a lot of Missourians will be paying more for their health insurance if their employers go the same route as Delta. But the president of Joplin's Insurance Center says that's not currently the case, at least with the major insurance providers that his company represents.
We don't have any providers that we represent that I'm aware of that even ask the question if you're vaccinated or not. That's for group health insurance, life insurance, group life insurance, and certainly any workers' compensation. It's been a non-issue so far.
But what separates Delta Airlines from other employers who offer health insurance to their employees? Mr. Brothers has some thoughts.
Many larger companies are self-insured, and so therefore they define their own benefit plans, and they can make whatever requirements for their plans that they want to. But in our local marketplace, there are self-insured companies. We've heard of no one requiring people to pay more premium because they're not vaccinated.
And while the insurance center president can't predict the future, he says he doesn't see the situation changing.
My own opinion is we won't see it become an issue from an insurance underwriting perspective. They don't ask questions about other vaccinations and things or flu shots.
In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Insurers may not be raising premiums based on COVID-19 vaccination status, but an analysis from the Kaiser Family Foundation found that 72% of health insurance plans are no longer waiving out-of-pocket coronavirus treatment costs. Pitt State University officials report 0 new COVID-19 cases in the past week. 27 symptomatic students were recently tested. None were found positive. In the same period, no faculty or staff members reported an infection. Last week, there was only 1 new positive case. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and many people will be looking for ways they can help fund charities who are trying to end the terrible disease. But the Better Business Bureau is warning people to be careful about what charities they donate to. The Bureau suggests always researching a charity before donating or buying pink ribbon products. Attorney General Merrick Garland is asking the FBI and state attorneys general to get involved in violence against school workers. Crimes from threats to assaults have been on the rise as school boards across the country address controversial issues like mask mandates and how educators teach about things like race and sexual equality. Garland's memo comes days after the National School Boards Association asked the Departments of Justice, Education, and Homeland Security to investigate. That organization referred to clashes at public meetings as forms of domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Garland is asking federal and state officials to meet with local leaders to discuss strategies to protect school workers. Tuesday, a Facebook staffer testified to Congress about what she sees as the company prioritizing profits over public good. Focus of the hearing was on Facebook's internal research that showed Instagram can have a negative effect on young people. We spoke with Missouri Senator Josh Hawley yesterday, who said he's pushing legislation that could see tech companies sued over damages to children.
What we've found out from the big tech companies is that they're so dishonest. They target our kids. They know that spending a lot of time on their platforms is bad for our kids, and then they've lied about it to Congress. Here's the easy solution, I think. Let parents sue. If your kid has suffered mental harm, they've suffered real harm, and you can prove it, you ought to be able to sue them.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg addressed the whistleblower's allegations on Facebook, saying in part that instead of ignoring that young people use technology, tech companies should build experiences that meet their needs while also keeping them safe. A new legislative audit says many Kansas school districts are not taking basic steps to protect their computer systems and the privacy of sensitive information collected about students. The report released by the legislature's auditing agency based its conclusions on a survey sent to the state's 286 local school districts, with 147, or 51%, responding. The audit said that more than a quarter of school districts surveyed do not have antivirus software on all computers. The auditors said only 34% of districts said they scan computers for vulnerabilities at least once a month, while 35% said they never did it. Domino's in Pittsburgh is taking part in Fire Prevention Week. Some customers yesterday were randomly selected and surprised at the door with their pizza delivered by a fire engine. If the smoke alarms in the customer's home were working, the pizza was free. If not, the firefighters installed a new alarm or replaced the batteries.
It's just an awesome experience and an awesome feeling to know that you're helping your community every way as possible, even if it's just pizza. So we all love it.
That's really nice. I just moved here and I hadn't even thought about smoke detectors and that. So that was really nice.
This year's Fire Prevention Week campaign theme is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. As the Atlanta Braves move into Major League Baseball playoffs, a necklace worn by one of the team's sluggers has fans clutching their pearls in surprise. Jock Peterson went onto the field wearing an unusual accessory. Well, that accessory, as you can see, pearls. Braves had a little too much fun tweeting about the incident, making jokes. Fans are also having fun tweeting about it. Peterson doesn't have a story behind it.
Yeah, he does.
Well.
Yeah, he does.
Michael knows the story.
Yeah.
Apparently where this story was written from,
he finally gave it up yesterday during the press conference.
What are we watching
At first he just said, that's Jackie. That's Jackie O.
Okay.
She's doing an interview.
Is that part of the story?
Technically she was Jacqueline Kennedy when she was doing that. I honestly, if I was going to go with the First Lady, I would have thought Barb Bush would have probably been the one that we would have added onto the video, because they went Jackie Onassis. Kennedy, sorry.
Are we comparing the pearls to Jackie's pearls? Is that why we had video of that?
I'm not sure.
That was random.
Anyway, he said it would remain a secret and a mystery and would not leave the clubhouse. And then later on, he was like, no, I think they look good. And then came out, I think he got tired of being asked about it. He wears the pearls because he considers himself a bad bee. That is actually trending with Jock Peterson's name right now. Bad bee.
Bad bee.
That's right. That's right. Hey, he's a nice pickup for the Braves. By the way, don't forget, Fox Sports 1 today. Fox Sports 1 is where you can catch both Major League Baseball playoff games. Of course, we've got the White Sox and Astros, first pitch around 3:05. And then tonight, we've got game one between Red Sox and Rays. That first pitch about 7:05, 7:10. And both those on our sports affiliate, Fox Sports 1. Now, let's transition to a bad morning of fog. Hashtag that one, see if that pops up. I don't think that's trending right now. It is kind of cool, though, with the sun trying to break through the cloud cover. 60 degrees is where we stand. High humidity, of course, associated with the fog all the way up to 96%. And while the advisories have receded a little bit from the north, they have not for the rest of the 4 states. In fact, stretching all the way down into northeast Oklahoma, all through just about the entire natural state of Arkansas, and then on the other side of the Mississippi as well, with visibility numbers that have dipped below half a mile. We're sitting at 0.2 of a mile is where we're sitting in Welch and Miami, only 1/10 of a mile in Iola. Now up to the north, Nevada and Stockton getting considerably worse as well, below 2 miles. Give the sun about another hour and we'll be good to go. And then let's talk about warmth. 80 degrees today. It's going to be great. A whole bunch of sunshine. And then it's just about going to be hot for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as we're going to be up against the 90-degree mark. We'll be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Breaking overnight, Texas's abortion law, the most restrictive in the United States, has been suspended. It's called SB 8. That's the name of the law. Prevents women from having an abortion just 6 weeks in. Judge called it an, quote, offensive deprivation of such an important right, end quote. State of Texas planning to appeal. Laura Podesta with the latest.
A federal judge ordered Texas to suspend its law banning most abortions. U.S. District Judge Robert Pittman sided with the Department of Justice in a 113-page ruling. From the moment SB 8 went into effect, Pittman wrote, women have been unlawfully prevented from exercising control over their lives in ways that are protected by the Constitution.
Basically, what you saw the Department of Justice arguing is the substance of this law. There's no way it can be squared with our current precedent, which is Roe v. Wade.
The state of Texas plans to appeal the ruling. Governor Greg Abbott signed the bill into law back in May. It went into effect last month.
The life of every unborn child who has a heartbeat will be saved from the ravages of abortion.
The law bans abortions as early as 6 weeks before most women know they're pregnant, and it allows private citizens to sue people who help patients get an abortion.
Kind of weathering this storm right now.
Heather Palacios works for Planned Parenthood. She says women have been leaving Texas to get abortions in neighboring states.
Last year, we saw around 250 patients from Texas across our affiliate. This year to date, we've seen more than 500, and half of those since September 1st.
In December, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments about Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban. It's the most significant challenge to Roe v. Wade in a generation. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Despite this ruling, it is unclear if abortion services in Texas will resume. Doctors fear that they could be sued later on without a more permanent legal decision. Time now to turn our attention to the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning talker. It's about giving back to the community. Meet a girl named Layla. She's a young girl in California with a young form of brain cancer. She's had to deal with multiple surgeries, chemo, and radiation therapies that would be tough for anyone, let alone a 6-year-old. One thing that makes Layla different, though, her focus on life. Loves her dog, travel, swimming, and had inspired the world around her from lemonade stands to GoFundMe. Layla also taking part in vaccine trials. Our question for you this morning, how often do you give back to your community? Right now, 47% of you say annually, and we've got 31% doing it on a weekly basis, 11% with daily and monthly. Doesn't matter when you do it, just as long as you do it. You can always take part by going to komnewsnow.com/vote or connecting to us via Facebook. Be right back after this.
Gas prices are going up in California, and LA County prices are higher than they've been since 2012. Experts say they should brace for gas to get even more expensive in the coming weeks. The average price of a gallon of regular self-serve is now $4.42 in Los Angeles County. That's a penny higher than last week and $1.22 higher than a year ago. Jeff Wynn spoke with some frustrated drivers.
At the Chevron in San Marino, regular unleaded gas is $5.29 per gallon, much to the surprise of customers like Brenda Allen.
The gas has just gotten outrageous. It makes it very hard to do anything today.
Gas Buddy says it's one of the most expensive gas stations in LA County. Patrick DeHaan is the company's head of petroleum analysis.
The average now $4.42 a gallon. That's the highest tally in 3,300 days. And unfortunately, it looks like we may have more price increases coming.
California has seen its average gas prices at the highest since 2012, after oil prices continue to go up because of energy shortages globally. Add to that increased demand for travel and the delivery of consumer goods, according to Jeffrey Spring with AAA.
The key to factors behind the increase in demand is really more people getting back to work.
Here in Paramount, at the corner of Paramount and Alondra, Gas Buddy says this is one of the lowest priced gas stations in LA County at $3.79.
Matthew Camacho says he checks the app every couple of days to find the best deal.
I've been coming for a couple months now. It's just the cheapest.
Experts say the refinery problems associated with the September 17th earthquake centered in Carson have kept prices high during a time of normal decline.
With the prices, I now limit where I go.
But experts also say the oil spill in Orange County has not been large enough to impact pricing. In Paramount, Jeff Nguyen, KCAL 9 News.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
There's casino. The Vice President teams up with NASA and YouTube to teach kids about space, and a timeless love story has been given a new twist for theaters. Anthony Purra with today's Eye on Entertainment.
A classic love story has been turned into a musical for the big screen, starring Peter Dinklage.
Pleasure to meet you, Cyrano de Bergerac.
Based on the French play, the film Cyrano tells the story of a love triangle centered around a poet and swordsman attempting to win the love of a woman. Cyrano hits theaters December 31st. Vice President Kamala Harris is hosting a kids special about space exploration.
My mom was a scientist, so I just love the idea of exploring the unknown.
The Vice President hosted several children at her residence at the Naval Observatory. The special times with World Space Week. The YouTube originals Get Curious with Vice President Harris launches today on the NASA YouTube channel and the YouTube Kids app.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome Daniel Craig to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Daniel Craig now has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The English actor received the honor last night. Craig gained international fame with the role of James Bond in Casino Royale in 2006. The latest 007 film, No Time to Die, premieres in U.S. theaters tomorrow. And the 5th season of Young Sheldon kicks off tonight. In the season premiere, Sheldon and his twin sister Missy run away from home.
As we've established, Wood's very scary, me very scared. Then I guess you're here until the sun comes up. So I'll be able to see what kills me? Pass.
You can catch Young Sheldon tonight on CBS and Paramount Plus. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Anthony Purra, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And of course, if you want to catch up on the other previous episodes of Young Sheldon, you can watch those right here on Fox 14. I think it's pretty cool that they're using Peter Dinklage there to play Cyrano de Bergerac. Also, a little breaking news that I want to pass along, as earlier this morning, Pfizer tweeting out that it has formally requested for the Food and Drug Administration to allow use of its COVID-19 vaccine in children ages 5 to 11. So we were at that 12 and up stage. Now Pfizer requesting the FDA approve that for ages 5 to 11. And if that is approved by the FDA, Pfizer saying that it could have those shots available in the next several weeks. So we'll keep you apprised of that situation. Once again, that coming out earlier this morning via a tweet from the company Pfizer. Here's a live look outside of Television City. We've hammered the fact that we're shrouded in fog, but now we got the sun beginning to take effect. It's starting to look a little bit better with each and every passing moment. Temperatures outside of Television City sitting at 60 degrees. Of course, the high humidity with the fog, 96%, but barometer on the rise. And that's an indicator of getting that cloud cover out of here and letting the sun do its thing. While we've seen the dense fog advisories recede from the north, at one point in time it stretched from the Kansas-Nebraska state line and the Missouri-Iowa state line. It still is in effect until 10 a.m. for us. And when we talk about just how extensive it is, how about dropping down into northeast Oklahoma, encompassing most of Arkansas, and then pushing its way through portions of not only Mississippi but Tennessee as well on the east of the Mississippi River. Our visibility numbers, yeah, we're starting to get a little bit better, but look, Miami, Welch, Independence, Yates Center, Iola, still, we're not even at a quarter of a mile there. We've seen Lamar and Carthage slip down as well. They were at 5 miles earlier, so we're not quite done. Aurora, out on just south of I-44, that's down to half a mile as well. And be careful out there. A lot of extra time if you haven't looked out your window and noticed the fog yet, or if you look out your window and you go, it's clear here. If you've got any type of extended drive, chances are you're going to run into it. It's a pretty Skywatch storm tracker, just a little light cloud cover hanging on. That provides for some great colors during the morning. Temperatures have been wide ranging. We've got 51, a low point in Neodesha, and we're as high as 65 in Nevada. 14-degree difference as you work from the west, where it's cooler, to the east and northeast, where it's warmer. We'll go 60 in Joplin and 55 right now in Miami. All the action's really going to stay toward the east. And speaking of the east, if you look at the severe thunderstorm risk map, you'll see how it encompasses the deep south, where they're going to have problematic flooding. And a lot of that is the result of this tropical system. Never became a named storm, never got that organized. But we knew that it was coming, just on the other side of Puerto Rico and headed for the Atlantic coast, and it's here. It's here today. And that's going to give them tons of rain here for the next several days. Our afternoon planner in the 4 states, highs around 80 degrees, a little bit warmer than what we'd anticipate this time of year. But even that green at the top of the screen, it's not even going to hit the ground. Then we get ready for some heat. Get into Friday, be clocking up into the high 80s, and get into Saturday. There's high school football kickoff for you about right there. It's going to be pretty warm out there for kickoff. And then as we get into Saturday, even with that cloud cover, we're throwing up 90s. Got a chance to break a record. Joplin Regional is going to have to get to 93 to break that record from 1980. But tell you what, we're going to come close. That's for sure. We'll be back. Wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Senate is said to be working on a short-term extension of the nation's debt ceiling. The Republican proposal would allow the government to continue to borrow money while lawmakers negotiate a more long-term fix. Treasury Department estimates it will run out of cash by October 18th unless the ceiling is raised. Last night, a federal judge blocked a Texas law that effectively banned most abortions in the state. The order bars enforcement of the statute that went into effect in September. The court's order described it as a scheme to deprive citizens of a significant and well-established constitutional right. Texas is expected to appeal the decision. The White House is aiming to increase the supply of at-home COVID-19 test kits. Coronavirus response coordinator Jeff Zients announced a plan to buy $1 billion worth of the test, which are often hard to find in stores. The goal is to have 200 million kits available every month. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Going to be delightful this afternoon. Just got to get rid of this fog. It's going to take a while, but eventually sunny skies, temperatures around 80 degrees, and then let's see how close we get to a couple of records here, specifically on Saturday. We got a hot weekend ahead.
Well, a unique place is up for sale in Michigan. Right. A zoo and amusement park known as Deer Forest is up on the auction block. It comes with a lot of histories and memories for the community, but has a lot of promise, I think that's what the word is meant to be, in what it could be. 25-acre property that opened in 1949 was once home to hundreds of deer alongside other animals, such as ostriches, bears, alligators, and camels.
Well, two people that come to mind, I would either be thinking if Joe Exotic were available, maybe he could help you out. However, he is currently not.
Did not get his pardon.
Right. The other one, Matt Damon. He's got background in that. After all, he bought a zoo. Thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and even better day.
Experience what Kia